Hello, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar on the Mind Diet today. This session is presented by the dietitians at the New Vision Family Health team. So getting started here with a bit of an introduction, what is the Mind Diet? So the Mind Diet was created or founded by Dr. Martha Claire Morris, who is a nutritional epidemiologist at Rush University in Chicago. The idea behind the Mind Diet stemmed from how we've seen that the same health patterns recommended to support cardiovascular health, such as the Mediterranean diet and the DASH diet, have also been shown to slow cognitive decline or to reduce the risk of cognitive impairment. So the Mind Diet's therefore very similar to the Mediterranean and DASH diets, but with a bit of an extra focus on some of the specific foods known to help prevent or slow cognitive decline. And then because of the overlap with the Mediterranean and DASH diets, the Mind Diet's also very helpful to prevent or treat things like heart disease, diabetes, high cholesterol, and high blood pressure. So here we have some core features of the Mind Diet. First off, the focus is on an overall pattern of eating, not one specific superfood for brain health. It emphasizes eating until the point that you're comfortably full or no longer hungry, rather to the point of being stuffed. So tuning in and respecting those hunger and fullness cues. It embraces balance, moderation, and variety. And then in order to follow the Mind Diet, it's a matter of simply eating more of the 10 brain healthy foods that the diet encourages and fewer of the 5 brain unfriendly foods. Again, noting that nothing needs to be completely eliminated. We do want to make sure that we're being realistic and that our diet and lifestyle is still enjoyable. So here we have some more specific numbers from some of the research that's been done on how much of a benefit the Mind Diet can have. In this particular study, the Mind Diet trial, for those who follow the diet very well, there was a 53% reduced risk in Alzheimer's disease. And for those who followed the diet more loosely, they still experienced its benefits with a 35% reduced risk. And to put this into perspective, that 53% risk reduction is equivalent to adding about 7.5 years to one's brain span, which is quite significant. Okay, so evidence suggests that the longer you follow the diet, the better it is for overall health in the long term. Of course, it's also important to keep in mind that when it comes to our brain health, it's not 100% about the food we eat. There are lots of other factors involved. So some of these other factors that it's important to recognize and manage a little bit include things like not smoking, keeping our blood pressure in a normal or healthy range, maintaining a good physical activity level, and having an enjoyable social life as well. Okay, so jumping in here, starting with our food number 1 on the list of 10 healthy brain foods is our vegetables. So the Mind Diet recommends getting a wide variety of different colored vegetables. Generally speaking, different colors of vegetables have different types of antioxidants and phytochemicals that are protective towards our brain health. So the more variety, the better. In our green vegetable category here, some examples include asparagus, green beans, green peppers. Our orange vegetables might include carrots, sweet potato, butternut squash. Yellow pepper is an example of our yellow vegetables. For red, we have red peppers, tomatoes, and beets. Purple vegetables might include eggplant or purple cabbage. And then in our white or tan category, we have things like onions, garlic, cauliflower, and mushrooms. So benefits have been seen with as little as 1 serving of vegetables per day, but the Mind Diet food guide recommends at least 5 servings of total vegetables, where 1 serving is equal to about half of a cup, whether it's cooked or raw. So to put that into perspective, if you have a 1 cup portion of vegetables at a meal, which is the size of your balled up fist, that would equal about 2 of your 5 servings of vegetables for the day. Okay, then of those minimum 5 servings of vegetables per day recommended on the previous slide, the Mind diet does recommend that at least one of those servings comes specifically from leafy greens, where 1 serving of leafy greens is half a cup when they're half a cup when they're cooked, or 1 cup when they're raw. And that's just because greens tend to be a little bit fluffier, less dense in volume when they're uncooked. So the serving size is a bit bigger for raw. In general, eating plenty of vegetables has been linked to a slower rate of cognitive decline in older adults, but the leafy greens specifically seem to offer the greatest protection, hence why they're kind of a category on their own in the Mind diet here. Some examples of leafy greens are spinach, kale, Swiss chard, beet greens, collards, rapini, broccoli, arugula, romaine, and leaf lettuces. The list goes on though. Leafy greens are an excellent source of vitamin K, folate, beta carotene, and lutein. All of these nutrients are thought to help preserve brain functioning, essentially. And a fun fact here, for the beta carotene and lutein in particular, if you eat your greens cooked rather than raw, the heat helps to activate these nutrients. So both cooked and raw vegetables are good. One is not better than the other per se. Some nutrients are destroyed in the heating process. Some nutrients are activated. So kind of getting a good variety of both is a good way to do it. So taking a closer look at some of the research findings on leafy greens, it was found that in the research, participants who ate 1 to 2 servings of greens per day had a dramatic decrease in the rate of cognitive decline compared to people who ate fewer greens. Dr. Morris, so again, the creator of the Mind diet, even said it was about the equivalent of being 11 years younger in age. So quite a significant impact. Okay, so for our third food on the list here, berries. Berries are rich in polyphenols, which are a phytochemical that protect brain cells by reducing inflammation and fighting off the byproduct of inflammation, which are called free radicals, and the damage that they can cause, as well as removing some toxic proteins that can accumulate in the brain with age. Blueberries and strawberries appear to be the most potent in terms of our brain health. And the Mind diet recommends having a serving of berries at least 3 times a week, where 1 serving is about half of a cup. For nuts, which include all types of nuts, these help to lower any kind of elevated blood pressure, as well as our LDL or bad cholesterol in the blood. They help to guard against type 2 diabetes. All of these factors can contribute to memory loss and Alzheimer's disease. So nuts are really beneficial because they're a good source of vitamin E, and higher levels of vitamin E are linked to less cognitive decline as we age. In particular, walnuts may be the king of nuts when it comes to brain health, because research suggests that eating more walnuts can help to improve memory, concentration, and the speed at which our brain processes information. Walnuts deliver polyphenols and an omega-3 fatty acid called alpha-linoleic acid, or ALA. And the Mind diet recommends 5 servings of any kind of nut per week, where 1 serving is 1/4 of a cup of nuts, or nut butters count 2, in which case a serving size is about 2 tablespoons. All right, so legumes. Legumes include lentils and beans such as kidney beans, pinto beans, black beans, chickpeas, etc. They're a great source of plant-based protein, as well as fiber, specifically a type of fiber called soluble fiber, as well as low glycemic carbohydrates, which means they provide a good steady stream of fuel in the form of glucose to the brain. Plus, adding beans into your diet can help to lower blood pressure and cholesterol and regulate your blood sugar. And that's because of the soluble fiber that's in them. So the Mind Diet recommends including 3 servings of legumes per week, where a serving is about half of a cup of cooked beans. And there are lots of ways that legumes can be enjoyed. Some ideas include using them as a topping on a salad, cooking them into hot meals like curries, quesadillas, or a chili recipe, maybe mixing lentils 50-50 with ground meat in dishes like spaghetti sauce, shepherd's pie, meatballs, meatloaf, or taco meat. Lentils are kind of small and the texture of them blends right into that ground meat, so it works really well. More ideas might include pureeing the beans into dips like a hummus, and pureed beans can even be used in baking. For example, there's lots of some black bean brownie recipes out there to look up. Okay, for our 6th food on the list here, so we know that foods that promote a healthy cardiovascular system, such as whole grains, are also good for our brain, as we mentioned before. And that's because your heart and blood vessels supply nutrient and oxygen-rich blood to the brain. So, of course, a really important function there. If your brain doesn't get the blood flow it needs, it can impair things like memory and thinking abilities. So with our whole grains, they have been shown to support both heart health and brain health. The Mind Diet recommends about 3 servings of whole grains each day. And the serving sizes vary because there's lots of different types of whole grains to choose from. So some example servings might be 1 slice of a nice dense grainy whole grain bread, half a cup of some of the boil to cook grains like brown rice, quinoa, whole grain pasta, barley, farro, as well as oatmeal, or 1 cup of a whole grain breakfast cereal. All right. Oily fish such as salmon, trout, herring, mackerel, and sardines are our primary sources of DHA, which is a type of omega-3 fatty acid that is essential for brain function. It has been shown that a higher intake of DHA helps to slow brain aging and improve memory, as well as thinking skills. It might also help prevent the buildup of an Alzheimer's-related protein called beta amyloid. So because of all these potential benefits, the Mind Diet recommends at least 1 serving of fatty fish per week, where a serving equals 3 to 4 ounces of cooked fish. Okay, so number 8 here, we have olive oil. So olive oil is a rich source of monounsaturated fat, which is a type of fat that helps to reduce inflammation and prevent blood vessel dysfunction in the body. Extra virgin olive oil also contains oleocanthal, which is a phytochemical that may boost production of 2 key enzymes that are believed to be critical in removing that beta amyloid protein from the brain that we mentioned earlier was associated with Alzheimer's disease. Without attributing any specific quantities, the Mind Diet recommends using olive oil as your primary cooking oil. It's also great used for salad dressings or for dipping bread as well. All right, our 9th food on the list here is poultry. So as part of a healthy eating pattern, eating more poultry such as chicken or turkey and less red meat is associated with a lower risk of Alzheimer's disease. The Mind Diet encourages eating poultry twice a week, where a serving size is 3 to 4 ounces of cooked poultry meat. And it's encouraged to eat poultry without the skin and preparing it in ways where it's not heavily fried in oil. So avoiding kind of those breaded and deep fried options, or at least limiting those, and instead choosing methods like grilling, baking, broiling, stir frying, etc. Okay. So our 10th item here is, this one's up for debate a little bit. So recommendations have changed here, and that is because previous research in the past had shown that an antioxidant called resveratrol found in red wine was beneficial to brain and heart health because of its anti-inflammatory properties. So the recommendation used to be to enjoy a glass of red wine each day. However, just this year, 2023, there were some new alcohol guidelines released, which advise against any more than 1 or 2 standard drinks per week. So that's the chart that we're looking at here on the slide. As we can see, the new guidelines show that the more drinks that are consumed above and beyond that amount, there are progressively more health risks. So kind of keeping within that green zone here on the chart, 0 to 2 drinks per week is associated with lowest risk and best health outcomes. Okay. So with the Mind Diet, to get a top score, in combination with including more of those top 10 foods, it's also recommended to limit the 5 foods considered to be brain unfriendly foods, those being red meat, pastries and sweets, deep fried foods or fast food, cheese, and butter or hydrogenated margarine. Worth noting is that these foods do not have to be completely eliminated. For example, foods like red meat and cheese still have many important nutrients in them. Rather, it's recommended to keep the amounts down to about 4 servings or less per week for red meat, 5 servings or less per week for pastries and sweets, less than 1 serving per week of fast food or deep fried foods, 1 serving or less per week of cheese, a tablespoon or less per day of butter or hydrogenated or stick margarines. Soft margarine is okay in moderation with the Mind Diet. Okay. So in summary, the Mind Diet places an emphasis on plant-based foods and limiting intake of animal-sourced foods that are high in saturated fats. So it highlights berries and green leafy vegetables from our produce foods. And then other key foods include nuts, whole grains, olive oil, fatty fish, all other vegetables, legumes, and poultry. And the Mind Diet recommends limiting red meat, butter and margarine, cheese, pastries or sweets, and deep fried or fast foods. Okay, thank you once again. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and we would love to see you next time.